Good morning. This is Chris Galetsky. I'm live here in the Kitty Keys teacher discussion group, and it's just knocking on 10 o'clock, coming up on 10. So we'll give it a couple minutes here for people to sign on. And if someone could give me a thumbs up that you can hear me, that would be fantastic. So I don't find out after that I was talking to no one. On the screen it says I'm live. So is anybody out there? Oh, I see two eyes, so it looks like someone's there. Yeah, let's get rid of that so that I can see. Hey, hi Amy Hansel. Hi Allison. You can hear me. Yay! Very important to be able to hear me, right? I'm gonna start diving in, and I like to, start with some music. So I'm just gonna play a little bit of a duet while people are tuning in here. Is the introduction or the duet part that goes along with Stepping Stones, which is in the new Piano Playground book. I'm kind of reading messages that I'm getting here. Bring them on camera is watching. Bring them on camera. Can you see me? Can you just hear me? Can someone tell me if you can see me as well as hear me? Hi Regina. Hi Sarah. Hi Daniela. Can you see me and hear me? You can see and hear me. Thank you, Amy. Amy's my new Wisconsin neighbor. Wisconsin. Do I say that like I live in Wisconsin? So Amy really recently moved to our state. So Amy, we're going to try to get together in a couple of weeks for some coffee or tea. Okay, so I'm going to dive in. Hey, thanks Trish. Thanks for confirming. Thanks, Sarah. All right, so ready for Rote, right? I don't know, where I did a poll this past week in the Kitty Keys teacher group. Yeah, go Pat, go. Did a poll in the Kitty Keys teacher group, and I was really curious where people's point of references were with Rote, and the majority fell in with that it's one of many tools that are in a teacher's toolbox, which is kind of where I sit. Some haven't tried it, were interested in doing it, and so there was some variance there, but I was happy to see that it was a tool in a toolbox because let's face it, Rote's been around forever. It's how I learned how to play Heart and Soul. It's how I learned to play chopsticks, Jolly Old St. Nicholas, Jingle Bells. These are things that we've used in our studio, and so I think it's a tool, but it's certainly been around for a long time. When you look at Suzuki is strongly based in rote learning. So sometimes I think people hear rote and they go, oh, but we want to teach them the names or the notes and reading. I'm of the camp that rote is a tool. Rote is something that helps us to focus on the oral aspect in complement to the reading aspect. So anytime you hear me talk about rote, I'm talking about using it as a hybrid, as a method or as a tool. But I think as a tool, it's got great application in our piano studios, whether we're talking a 3 or a 4-year-old or we're talking 83 and 84-year-old, right? By the way, if you have questions, feel free to, post them at the bottom. I'll come back to them maybe after the live is done. But, by all means, ask your questions. And I apologize. I talk fast. I don't know. I say listen quick. I will talk as slow as I can. So again, teachers have been using Rote forever, or we wouldn't know how to play Heart and Soul if there wasn't Rote teaching. So again, Rote is simply teaching by example or by imitation, right? You show someone how to do something. That is the Rote approach to teaching. Sometimes with a use of a score, other times not. There are some that believe a Rote should be strictly showing, and I'm of the belief that the best way to milk every conceivable ounce of value out of something is to have it work in multiple ways. So when we're talking about Piano Playground in a little bit, I'm going to show you why it's a rote book, but how it can be so much more than a rote book. Because again, I think the more value we can squeeze out of something, the better. The more applicable for our students in our studio, the more that tool works for multiple scenarios as opposed to only one situation. So again, rote is simply teaching by example or by imitation, sometimes with little or no reference to a score, and it's been around for a long time. So why rote? I personally think it's a great opportunity for foundational focus. So while we are learning on a rote song, and I'm just going to quickly open up again Piano Playground, and I'm going to turn to, let's play song number 1. It's pretty basic, and if you haven't seen your Let's Play book, or if you don't have it, and you don't have to have it, and I'm just using it as a reference here because for me it's a practical application. There is a really nice teacher duet. Jennifer Eklund wrote the fabulous teacher duets to go along with it, and a teacher part. And there's always a mini lesson plan at the top that talks about how we can, what you're going to do to prepare the lesson, and how you can ramp it up, how you can make it more challenging for a student, and how you can tone it down if it's just too much, not manageable as it is. And then of course we have the keyboard example on the side showing right hand, left hand, and then a student sample to prepare. So in this sense, it kind of breaks the book is backwards on Facebook. Backwards on Facebook. So how do I fix that? The book is backwards. If somebody knows how to fix that, tell me and I'll fix it. Thank you, Mara Joy, for telling me that. I know it's not that. Backwards. Mirror image. Is that a setting that I do on my phone? Mara, you are Mara. Tell me more, Mara. I don't think you can fix it. Oh, I'm so sorry. So is it readable though? Is it workable, or just I'm pointing the opposite, or so interesting to talk to you in real time as I'm having this conversation. Is this gonna be too confusing if I show you the book? I don't think there's an easy fix. It's still easy to get the gist of what's on the pages. Thank you. That's my Wisconsin girl there. All right, so just play it for us. Thank you. I'll play it after I talk about it in a second. So in that sense, it breaks the rules of rote, right? Because rote is just simply showing the student the pattern. I wouldn't even have the book here. The book could be closed, and I could be showing the student that they're going to use their left hand finger 2 and the right hand finger 2, and they would play and have them imitate that pattern. That's rote, right? Copying, showing the example. But I think the value is in having it be something they can see and something they could hear, right? That whole oral, music as the oral experience with the physical component of learning. So I do want my students to know that while I'm going to show them the example, they're going to be playing G and C. That's it. I don't have to explain it further than that. And they're going to use finger 2 and finger 2 of their left and right hand, because I'm all about the fact that we want to review our left and right hand. Some students don't get the left and right hand for years. Anytime we can review, we're doing the student a favor. So we're reviewing finger numbers, we're reviewing left hand and right hand, and I'm telling them about the fact that we're using G and C. And if I really wanted to take that a couple steps further, I could talk about the keyboard geography, that we're going to find C by the 2 black keys, that we're going to find G by the group of 3 black keys. So all of that to me becomes part of a rote experience lesson. But if I wanted to just be the example for a very beginning student, I can just show them they're going to play G and C. It's going to be let's play, and there's a great teacher duet. Like a pro, let's play. Simple, nice and easy. Student can play along. Let's play. But here is what I think is the best part about rote teaching. If you want to just make it example based, it can be all about technique. And I don't think technique should wait. I think technique should be in from the beginning, and that can be very much about arm weight and their hand position and their touch of the keys as they're playing this. And you can literally sit and play that with the student until they get that, or it's a process, right? They're not going to necessarily come and have beautiful arm weight and hand position and a good arch. So I think the first thing that I think of when I think of rote is, how can I apply it to technique? And then what are my additional takeaways? Left hand, right hand, finger number, keyboard geography, note name. So that it's a big puzzle when it all comes together to eventually these pieces come together to make the finished puzzle, the process, right? So that's why I think Rote is a great opportunity for foundational focus. Your foundation, your technique, your arm weight and your touch, the ear, the oral component, working on a pulse and an inner beat that they have to come in. Here we go. Let's play, and that they have to come in again with that. So that counting and that work on that inner beat is so important. There's such a strong relationship with Rote and keyboard geography, right? We have to be telling them where to put their fingers in the example on the keys. So we're continually working keyboard geography, which is a major foundational concept in my opinion. And then again, that whole concept of left hand and right hand for the student that needs the reinforcement of that. So for that reason, and because I really see Rote as a hybrid, thanks Mara for the help with the image. I really see it as a hybrid. There are some teaching notes, and I just want to talk about what's in the beginning of this. Now, first of all, I want to talk about the cover, because April is Autism Acceptance Month, and I became more aware of all of this when my daughter, she's an occupational therapist, and she specializes in working with children with autism. And when I initially had the cover done, Emily pointed out that it wasn't inclusive. And I asked her to expound on that, and she said, if you're really wanting this to be for any child to be able to play, she said it should be attainable and reachable for every child, literally. And she said, and when they see the cover, they should see themselves as being able to be at that playground. And for that reason, we have a swing set that's obviously inclusive. Any child would be able to use it. And we have a ramp up to our jungle gym that, again, any child would be able to access and use it. And so everything on the playground is built that it is accessible for all children. So just like we want piano lessons to be, it can be, sorry, Takina's talking to me. It can be fixed by hitting the tools icon on the Facebook Live setting, then hitting the icon that flips the Facebook tools. So, okay, Takina, but now, which is the tools? It's probably on the bottom. Is it the little wand, Takina? Is it, I love the swing ramp. I saw the front cover. Yeah, music is for everybody. But Takina, which one is the tools, my friend? It can be fixed by hitting the tools icon in the Facebook Live setting. I'm on my phone if that helps you. Hitting the icon that flips the screen. So let me see if this does anything. Oh, I'm afraid. Nope, that's not it. Sorry, everybody. I'm hoping that I can fix this. That is not it. And that's the flash screen. No, I don't want that. Although if you tell me I'm too dark, I can put that on. Maybe I should. That was nice. The tool icon looks like a hammer. I'm going to hit the plus sign because I don't see a hammer. Choose how to go live. Yeah. All right, my friend. I appreciate the... I don't have a hammer. I've got a magic... Oh, I could do all sorts of filters. We won't do that. No worries. Just keep serving. Thanks, Takina. Okay, back to the live. Oh, I have no idea what I just did here. Love the magic of live. Okay, anyway. So we have an inclusive cover. So we want that. First of all, first step is seeing the book and saying, hey, I can see myself in this playground. I can see myself using this. And we did that with the songs too, right? We want them to come in and see themselves playing it, right? It's a playground. It's a playground for everyone. But along that vein then, so I had, I wrote some notes about it because it's a little bit atypical in that way for it being a Rote book because there is so much, the example of the keyboard geography, the left and the right hand. I do want that blend of note reading and not. So I put some program notes here, and Emily also wrote some, Emily, the occupational therapist, my daughter, also put some notes in here. The other thing that is here for reference is it talks about the teaching focus for each of the songs in the beginning. So that technical focus that I think is so important. So touch, arm weight, hand shape, pulse, tracking, right and left hand, and finger numbers. And then the specific challenges that I think that exist within some of the songs. And the very first column is to me very important. It talks about the midline cross. Call and response is another challenge. And then there are songs that have special rhythm challenges. So midline cross. This is so important for children because they have to manage crossing their body to work, to effectively handwrite, to effectively read, which automatically goes into a reading a score and reading music, to effectively tie their shoes, to cross their body, to crawl correctly. When they cross midline well, they develop that hand dominance that they need to be either right-handed or left-handed and have strong fine motor skills within that. So for that reason, that first column, midline cross, that's really important. And that's why there's so many songs that have midline crosses, not just in the piano playground, but when Jennifer and I wrote a road trip, we put a lot of what I would call tricks or midline crosses in there because that is a strong developmental tool, which Emily points out in her little forward notes that she wrote here, is so important for all children, whether they are special needs or not. So that is why in the teaching notes you'll see the midline cross, and that is why in so many of the rote pieces a midline cross exists, right? So those are the notes in the beginning of that. So getting back to rote and my personal preference, which is the hybrid, it's again that balance of notation, which is the eye reading, seeing, and those taught by ear, rote, in order to have them feel success, which is another important point. One of the biggest reasons to use rote teaching is so that they feel accomplished, they feel successful, they feel that they're moving forward. I think though that, again, an entire lesson that's built around rote, it's not going to be particularly popular by the parent. They may like how the student sounds, but ultimately at the end of the day, they have to read. So that's why I talk about it being a hybrid and a balance of the two things. So we want them to have that success. What child doesn't want to learn? They want to learn chopsticks. They want to learn heart and soul. Learn jingle bells. Well, we can show them those things and they can feel that measure of success. And maybe it's even... I was using my ear for a second there, not looking. So all those things breed into it, whether you like fur-elise or not, whether you like hot cross buns or not. Sometimes we have to step out of what we feel is right as a teacher and think, well, what's going to work best for that student? They want to learn fur-elise? Well, I can show them a little bit of that by rote. And they gain that confidence, they gain that success, and maybe it whets their appetite to continue to push forward for what's to come, those more difficult versions of the song, right? All right, so how do we teach by rote? You're the model. You are the model. You are the teacher. You're going to model that good hand position. This is the Seesaw song. Song number 2. It's just C's. It's perfect for a 4-year-old. Just going off tangent for a second here. If you've got Kitty Key students that you want to put them in a recital, or they want to play a song, parents want to see them playing music, any preschool music program, they can look at the Seesaw song, which is all C's, left hand finger 3, right hand finger 2. Again, I want to model that good position. It's in 3/4 time, so it's got a nice beat to it, and so we can focus on that. But most children will be able to play just those C's. That's it. Probably seems really simple, but when you part with them a duet, the student sounds great. Take the duet off. Put the backing track on, any backing track, any music backing track, and have the student play the C's. Again, focusing on the R weight. This simple little rote piece becomes a wonderful technical exercise. I think that's important. So using the idea of it being an example and tying it to the book, you want to find the patterns, and I apologize again that this is going to be turned around. You want to find the patterns in the piece, perhaps pointed out here if you're going to reference music at all. So this is song number 3, The Mischievous Monkey Bars, and it is in the beginning C, G, C, G, C, G, C, G, C, G, C, G. There's our pattern, midline cross to C. So I wouldn't need the music, although I do want to use it. I want to show them those notes because that feeds that note learning concept or the idea of that, and CGs with nice hand position. They're going to play CGs, and here's our midline cross, our trick, if you will. But that cross is so good developmentally. Second line, same thing, CGs. So you can just teach them that pattern and cross over. crossover, right? And again, there's a duet. Great duet. Makes them feel, wow, listen to me, or whether it's a backing track, or you can ramp it up. So this is the perfect time for some transposition, right? It's written in C. Transpose it to F. Now we're going to move to F and C and play the same song. F, C, midline cross, or transpose it to G. Same idea. So we're involving the idea of transposition, right? Why wait? It's so easily done, especially in rote teaching. We're learning a pattern. We're learning a place on the piano to play it. So each of the songs is set up that way. So again, rote doesn't have to be exactly as it's written. It can be transposed. You could vary. Take the opportunity to jazz it up, play something swinging, a jazzy rhythm, or triple that if they're a student that's doing really well with that, and that really has them change their arm weight. So thinking out of the box of an existing rote song, it can be changed, altered to change the message. Maybe it's a rhythm message then. So yeah, rote leads to success. The teacher's going to model it. That's all we do with a rote song, right? We can show them. If you didn't want to show them any of the other stuff on here, you could just say, here's the book. We're going to play C's and G's. Let's find our C with our second finger. Let's play our G, and we simply have the song, right? Point out the patterns in the score using a visual reference with the keyboard. So rote is generally pattern-based. So one of the biggest differences, and I hesitate to use that word, but I think it's worth mentioning, is so in Piano Playground, these are all pattern-based pieces, true rote pieces. And we always say in road trip, it can be taught by rote, note, or finger number. So the reason it's rote is we aren't going to wait to include the bass clef. In fact, in song number 2 in Outdoor Adventure, we're using bass clef A and bass clef C. We haven't learned that yet, so it's clearly done by rote. And there are patterns within the piece, but it is not strictly pattern-based. So this is more focused on the note learning with the rote as the backup and finger number as the backup. So I looked through and I thought, well, we say rote and note and finger number, and this is a true example of something that's geared, road trip is geared very much to that way. Depending on where the student are, right? A very young student, 4-year-old, might need more of the rote component. So patterns. Patterns are key for rote. Talked about midline crossing, and that promoting coordination of the left and right hand. Yeah, so important. Anytime we can have a student doing crossovers, we are doing them a big favor developmentally. We are helping them to read. We're helping them to write. If you ever see a student turn their paper sideways so that they have to write up, it's because they don't want to cross the midline, and they have to cross the midline to read left to right. For the reading and music score, they need to read left to right. So again, you could play a duet with them, turn on a backing track, turn a rhythm track on, let them explore, let them use that pattern. Decide what works best for you. If you have parents that you think, oh, they don't want me just showing the child, I think if they understood, or if they knew the cross benefits of that, the technical benefit of that, the left and right hand, and if they're seeing that they're reading notes on top of that, then rote doesn't just become about the repeating or the copying or the imitation, right? We need to have the imitation have a purpose, I would say. So just quickly, I'll go through the rest of the pieces in Playground then, just to talk about what their intention is in the rote world. I like tricks, and kids like tricks. So in song number 4, called Slide Down, and I've heard this is very popular with students because they get to play glissando. So it's a C scale. Again, do you have to fully explain the C scale? No, I don't think you do, but they're playing it. If you want to include it, you can, for perhaps an older student that's maybe just getting in or past a pentascale. So they're going to play an entire C scale with their second finger. And slide down. That's it. It's a C scale with a glissando, and they repeat that again. Glissando. You know, they can do it with an index card. They can do it with a stuffed animal. Very easily taught by rote, but why not make it a scale then? The teacher's part also has glissandos in it, so it sounds pretty cool as they're both glissandoing together. So that's a C scale, and my point in writing that is so that they could play a C scale and put a glissando in there. Easily taught by rote. Fun little trick. They think it's a blast. Number 5 is stepping stones, and that has a... Doesn't matter what student I do that with, they like the sound of that. That's it. It's just a basic pattern. You could have them, it could lead to a discussion on sharps if you wanted to. I like them playing a black key. They move their hands up into the keyboard a little bit further. Nice, easy pattern. Great teacher part to go with it. Thanks again to Jennifer for those. Stepping stones has that slight half step in it. Let's swing is the to get that motion. This one, my thought was heavily based on arm weight. Stuck my left hand in there, didn't I? And back and forth. Right? The more we work on arm weight, the better served. Did you already write my page? I haven't. Thank you, Dorla. Personally, I think 4 and up. Any child that's or a beginner that is on a playground and playing, certainly any kitty key student would be easily at 4. An exceptional 3-year-old, I think, could do it because of some of these songs being so very basic. But my thought is 4 and up for that. Good question. Thank you, Dorla. So that's Let's Swing. So they have the motion there. Chin up is a little more challenging. So they're going to go up a step. And we get that 5th finger involved, which can be a challenge. The 4th and the 5th finger. And then a unison. And I found in teaching this one that they really have to pause and think about that unison that comes at the end, which takes some coordination on their part. And I like the challenge of that with the unison. Again, that conversation, 2 notes together, unison versus single. That's chin up. Each of these pieces is meant to evoke the playground equipment that we have on our cover in our inclusive playground. Cross the bridge, black keys, because I think black keys are great. They bring us up into the keys. Great for keyboard geography. Again, very basic, just a crossover. Doing the midline again. We want them crossing over that midline and getting into the black keys. We have a couple songs like that. Leap and Lizard is the same way. Leap and Lizard, I put in slurs and staccato because my way to talk about articulation. My young students have loved the little pop they get to do. Leap and Lizard. They get to come off those keys. Never too late to talk about articulation. Never too early to talk about articulation. They think that's a great little trick that they can do that little slide to the pop, slide pop, call it what you will, slur to staccato. And again, everybody's got their own terminologies. I don't want to get in a teacher's way. If there's words that you use that are effective for you and your students, that's fantastic. But that slide to the pop. So you'll see articulation thrown in here by design. Take a Rest, very basic song. I see little 4-year-olds doing this, with the big yawn at a recital. And this is just C, a D flat and an E flat. But I want them focused on their fingers, their hand position. So they are nice and relaxed with a loose wrist, working on finger 2 and 3. It's a slow song with a pedal, and it sounds like they're sleepy. And all they have to do is focus on their hand position. They sound like a rock star, and it sounds like they're taking a rest. So good imagery in the picture as well. Climb time. On the black keys, this time we're going to use the groups of 2s and 3s. So we're doing the group of 3 black keys. Midline cross, right? So again, lots of arm weight, lots of cross, but easily taught, easy by example. Group of 3, we can turn that into a conversation on F, G, A, B by the 3 black keys. The group of 2 with the C, D, E by it. Everything should have lots of value, more conversation, more learning. Twisting tunnel, number 12, is a chromatic scale. Same idea. Talk about a chromatic scale. You can call it what it is. I don't think kids are put off by terms, and they don't expect long, elaborate descriptions. You're going to start on this C, and you're going to go to this C, and you're going to play every key in between with your second finger. An ascending chromatic scale, and then a descending chromatic scale. Let's go through the twisting tunnel, twisting to the top, come back through the twisting tunnel, playing till we stop. So the lyrics always work along with what the idea is in the song. But why not stick a chromatic scale in there, right? Theory. I love theory. Summertime Sandbox. This is the first song that has it has call and response, and it has eighth notes. Pretty basic. But I like that movement. Easily taught, again, by example, by rote. Cute duet. Teeter-totter time. So, teeter-totter, up and down, right? That whole motion relates to their arms, what they're doing. Here's our teeter-totter going higher through in a midline cross. I love midline crosses. Follow the leader, right? This is not something we play on a piece of equipment. We want them to really follow the example, and this really ties into rote perfectly. So the teacher plays, and the student answers with the teacher moves to F and A. Student plays F and A. Teacher's on the G and the B. Student, follow me, back down to the C. Nice and easy rote song, gets them moving around. If you like landmark notes, there's a great opportunity for talking about C and F and G as those landmarks. Jungle Gym Journey is, again, moving eighth notes, pretty basic pattern. Does it seem really simple? Yeah, it probably does, but it's not for a student. They need to manage that fine motor skills that hopefully we've done midline cross, and they've done their finger exercises outside of that so they can play that. And the teacher part has that. There's more in the teacher part I'm leaving out, but so you can hear they call and answer. Jungle Gym Journey, that is. It's a Race. This is the first song that uses C, D, E, F, G with the midline cross. What age on this one? If they have learned, if they've been in some sort of preschool prep class and they've learned their C, D, E, F, G, they could play this. It depends on how strongly their 4 and 5 are doing. You could tone it down and play without the crossover, or have them use the same finger number to do that, to master it. And there's our midline cross again. The last song is Playground All-Star, and I like the last song to be kind of a reprisal of the opening song. So number 1 was Let's Play, Let's Play, Let's Play, very basic. The All-Star has some added notes in. Them an obvious measure of how far they've come, and that's important in success also, right? We see where I started and here's where I am, so this was all developed in the meantime. So my takeaway for being ready for rote is to not think of it so much as a single end-all method, because I personally don't subscribe to that. I think it has to be a piece of a puzzle. Showing them things is okay. Again, how do we learn heart and soul and chopsticks? And finding additional value in it, whether you use Piano Playground, Road Trip, another book, there's generally other value to be had. That it's about finding it. Left hand, right hand, finger number, arm weight, hand position. Our goal, I think, should be building students that are good orally and visually, that read and hear well. We use our ears so much and are self-correcting. And that's where I think teacher duets come in, so they hear and they have to count and they work on their pulse and they learn to play collaboratively, even at a beginning level. So that's my takeaway on rote. Are you ready for rote? I would love to hear your thoughts and the resources that you use. And if this is something you think you'll include in your studios, I think it's better if we're all sharing that information. This worked for me. This is something I tried. This was effective. So share your ideas with each other, and then we'll all be ready for rote. It'll be something that comes very naturally to us to integrate in our studios beyond heart and soul and chopsticks and jingle bells and jolly old St. Nicholas and hot cross buns. So have a great day. Thanks for tuning in, and let me know if you have any questions. I'll get this uploaded to YouTube, and we'll get it in the group for you to watch after. Thanks for joining me this morning. Bye.